Don't buy from her. She's a piece of work, okay? I'm Ronnie, and you're listening to Clean With Me, the podcast where I walk you through cleaning your house step by step. When you clean along with this show, you'll get more done in less time so you can spend the rest of your day doing what matters most to you. In today's episode, I'm going to talk you through a few daily minimums. There are certain things where if you do them, it keeps you afloat. Not every day is a deep cleaning day, of course, but doing these daily minimums and getting into the habit of doing these daily minimums can be a game changer. And I'm going to talk about a topic that a financial supporter requested that I address on this podcast, and that is budgeting during hard times. Maybe you need to get presentable and fixed up for the day. Put on something you're comfortable in and that you feel good in, and maybe even put on some shoes, especially if there are crumbs or grit, dirt, whatever on your floors in the kitchen, or if you have hard floors elsewhere, it can feel a lot better to have shoes on. I do sometimes clean barefoot, but if I know that my kitchen floor has seen better days, I'll put on some slides or even some comfortable tennis shoes to clean in. Another thing you might want to do to gear up for your cleaning session, and this can be a daily minimum. Well, let me put it to you this way. Even if you don't wash laundry every day, you need to at least think about laundry and wash something if needed, basically. So if you're in kind of survival mode, you might need to do a load of towels and underwear or uniforms, work clothes for yourself or someone else. You know what needs to be done, or maybe it's been more than a week or two since you've washed your own bedding. You can get those sheets into the washer. Just basically, if you need to do a load of laundry, that can be part of your minimums for today. Or maybe you're in a state of overwhelm and you have some clothes in the washing machine that you forgot to put into the dryer. You might need to rewash that load with some laundry detergent and a little bit of white vinegar. But of course, if you're trying to save money, set an alarm so that you don't end up rewashing stuff. I mean, do that anyway if you tend to forget. Another thing you might want to do, and I'm not expecting you to do all of this, everybody has different things around their house that need to be done, but you might want to do something to get your house smelling good. Something that costs you $0 is opening the windows and letting some fresh air circulate through. I often talk about lighting a candle or starting some fresh wax in the wax warmer, but the person who requested that I talk about this is in a tight financial situation. So one possible way of getting your house smelling good, if you don't have any candles or wax melts on hand, is just kind of making a homemade potpourri out of things that you may already have on hand. Basically, boiling a small pot of water on the stove, tossing in things like cinnamon sticks and orange peels, maybe a little vanilla. Basically, when money's tight, you want to use things that you already have on hand rather than going out and buying anything. So that's an alternate way of getting your house smelling good. I used to have a small, like a miniature slow cooker. I guess it was for like keeping a cheese sauce warm or something. I never really used it for that. I used it as a wax warmer, and then sometimes I used it as a potpourri warmer. You know, sometimes you got to be creative. Instead of going out and getting a new gadget, just use something you already have around the house, whether it's a pot on the stove or a little mini crock pot. By now you've had time to gear up for your cleaning session. It's time to quickly straighten up the front entrance or your main living area, whichever area needs your attention, and maybe your front entrance and living area are one and the same, or maybe they're two different rooms. Let's do a quick straighten of these key areas. And then when you're done doing that, you're going to want to gather up any dirty dishes from around the house and get those to the sink. Dishes are always going to be part of your minimums. You've got to keep your house functioning by keeping up on dishes and laundry, and then keep it under control by picking up. You'd be surprised what a 5-minute pickup can do, and that's what I want you to be working on right now, is just a 5-minute pickup of your front entrance, main living area, or whichever area of your home needs attention. And sometimes you can go through your whole house in 5 minutes, depending on the state of it. While you're working on that, I'll talk about cleaning products. This person asked me about my favorite affordable cleaning products. The cleaning products that I use when I'm trying to tighten my belt, first of all, are just things that I already have on hand. The cheapest cleaning product you could ever use is something you already have on hand, because that way you don't have to buy something else. So I encourage you during times when you're trying not to spend money to go through your bathroom cupboards, your cupboard up above the refrigerator, wherever you keep your cleaning products. Maybe you have some extra things out in the garage. Maybe you left some glass cleaner out in the garage from when you were cleaning your car windshield or something. During tough times, you gather up those products that are scattered around your house and garage, and you use whatever those are. But as far as buying products, if you've been listening to the show for a while, you know that I encourage pampering yourself by buying nice products that you enjoy using, whether it's an expensive spray and your favorite scent for cleaning your countertops and tabletops, or maybe a multi-surface spray that makes your cleaning easier because it just works on every possible surface, a glass and surface cleaner basically that works on every surface in your home. But that having been said, if I was in a financial spot, I would clean my entire house using Comet or Ajax, which is a super affordable bleach powder. If you're not in the US, maybe there's a different brand that you use or whatever. Most of you know what Comet or Ajax is. I mean, I kind of think Windex works better than generic, but when I'm trying to save money, if I get some Ajax, some generic glass cleaner, and some liquid dish soap, I'm pretty good to go. And of course, laundry detergent. And that's another thing, I kind of downgrade my laundry detergent. I usually like to use the all free and clear, but when I'm trying to save money, sometimes I get the Arm & Hammer one that's in the white container. I mean, it's really hard to test them out and see which one works better. I feel like the all is a little bit better, but I use the Arm & Hammer when I'm trying to save money. If I had nothing in the house, I would buy a container of Comet or Ajax. That would be for cleaning out my sinks, bathtubs, toilets, toilet bowls, etc. And then some generic glass cleaner, of course, for windows, mirrors. And the liquid dish soap would be what I would use on my kitchen counters and whatnot. And I'd buy a large container of the dish soap because it's more affordable when you buy it, in large quantities. I mean, those are the bare minimum cleaning products. By now you've picked up your house. I'll talk about some other things you can use, but by now you've picked up your house, or at least those key areas. It's time to gather up dirty dishes if you haven't already done so, and take those to the sink or next to the sink. I mean, if you have a huge sink and only a few dishes, you might be placing everything in the sink, but I normally place them next to the sink before I wash, because one, I want to start with a clean sink when I go to wash dishes. So I want to clean out the sink first, because sometimes people leave random things in the sink and there's food or whatever. You want to clean out your sink before you begin, and then you want to start filling up one side, if it's a two-sided sink, with the hot water and dish soap, and then you might be pre-rinsing on the other side and then placing items into that dishwater, but you might have a sink with just one basin. I'm not one of those influencers that has that huge sink with a little protective grid in the bottom. No, I've just got an old school sink that's two-sided. Maybe you're starting on that first sink load, or you need to empty, reload, and run your dishwasher, or maybe you need to get some difficult items soaking before you begin, or you might need to empty your drying rack, empty your dishwasher, or maybe a little bit of everything. Lately, I mentioned this in another episode. I'm not sure if it was a bonus episode or regular, but lately I've been doing a thing where I do the pre-rinse of all the small stuff that, like I've always done, the cups, silverware, plates. I get that stuff into the dishwasher, but I don't start it immediately because I don't want to compromise the water pressure while I'm washing other items in the sink. So if you feel like your dishwasher is less effective certain times than others, it could be that you're running water at the same time as running your dishwasher. So it's not going to hurt anything to let that dirty stuff sit as long as you start the dishwasher before you leave the kitchen. As far as budgeting, you need to go through your bank account history for the last month or two and start writing down how much you spend on each item. You can also have a stack of bills in front of you, but a lot of us go paperless with most of our bills. So the best way to do it is to look over your bank account. You probably have an app on your phone. Go over your transaction history for the last couple of months and jot down how much you paid for your electric bill, your water bill, how much you spent on groceries, etc. And then armed with that information, you're either going to create a spreadsheet or you can download the free version of the Every Dollar app or some other budgeting app. I use Every Dollar. Also, spending more time at home will save you a lot of money. So keeping a clean house can help keep your spirits high while you're sitting around the house. Instead of getting together with a friend, you can put in earbuds and talk on the phone while you clean once you run out of these episodes or whatever. Be working on dishes, whatever that means for you. And then, of course, when you're done with the dishes, give your countertops and stovetop a swipe. And to really get your kitchen looking good, be sure to wipe the fronts of your large appliances. That's where that, generic glass cleaner or your vinegar mixture would come into play. And maybe you also need to wipe down cabinets and stuff. But this is kind of your minimum. So you're going to want to do your dishes, clean your sink, the area around the faucet, the stovetop, countertops, tabletop, if you've used the table recently. And then, of course, sweep. Some of you need to sweep your kitchen every day. If you hate it, get a vacuum, but you need to sweep or vacuum your kitchen floor every day. If there are a lot of crumbs, it could be that you have dogs who are tracking in like sand, if you live in an area like my area, or it could be kids dropping crumbs or a combination of both. But some of you might be thinking, I only need to sweep the kitchen like once a week or whatever. Another reason you might need to sweep the kitchen floor often is cooking from scratch. You or your spouse is chopping and stuff's flying. Then that's a reason to sweep daily as well. But while you're working in the kitchen, I'll talk about some other affordable cleaning products. You could cut your old bath towels into rags instead of buying cleaning rags. You don't absolutely have to have a sponge. You can use just a scrub brush on a handle to pre-rinse your dishes and then a dish rag to wipe them. The way my husband and I like washing dishes by hand is we like using the Scrub Mommy. Before we were using that, we were using a Scotch-Brite sponge, but we like using a sponge that has a rough abrasive side for scraping stuff off and then a soft side to, get the greasiness off, basically. You need both, but alternatively, you can use a scrub brush on a handle and just a dishcloth, or AKA dish rag. And those items last longer than the sponges that need to be replaced. So that's another way you can save there. But again, saving money on cleaning products and cleaning tools kind of goes against my philosophy of pampering yourself when you're cleaning. But at the same time, we all have those times where we're trying to tighten our belts. Like do a no spend month where all we're spending on is just food and nothing else. And speaking of using rags instead of disposable sponges, this isn't really cleaning related per se, but you could quit buying paper towels for a while. A while back, I bought some reusable paper towel. Well, not paper towels, but paper towel substitutes, where they were these cute little, I don't know how to explain them, but one side had like a print fabric that had like coffee and coffee mugs and the word coffee on it or something like that. And then the other side was kind of a terry cloth, like a towel. And then they had little snaps. So basically you could create a roll of these towels and put it on a paper towel holder and then use them in place of paper towels. It was kind of a gimmick, but it was super cute. And obviously, when you get stuff like that, like other people in your household don't really get it, and they're just kind of throwing those in the drawer and using them for cleaning rags or whatever. But for a while, we did the whole cloth paper towel thing, and it was cute. I had a falling out with the person, so I'm not going to be promoting it. I might have promoted it in an old episode. Don't buy from her. She's a piece of work, okay? But you don't have to get some fancy reusable paper towels. Either you can just use dish towels in the kitchen instead of paper towels for cleaning up messes and whatnot. And if you were buying napkins or you were using paper towels as napkins like we do, because we just, you know how the paper towels allow you to tear off like half of a paper towel? That's what we use as napkins. I know when my mom comes over, she's super appalled. Like, do you have any napkins? Like, she doesn't really get the whole using paper towels as napkins thing. But whether you're team paper towels as napkins or you buy actual napkins, you can use real napkins to save money. It's just not always practical in every family. Everybody's lifestyle is different. But when my husband and I first got married, he had 2 kids from a previous marriage who would spend the night like once a week. But for the most part, it was me, him, and then we had a baby shortly after we got married. So most dinners were just, the 3 of us basically. And so we had these blue cloth napkins that went in the little napkin holders, and then we had a matching tablecloth. But I feel like later on when I had a bunch of kids and I would try to do cloth napkins, they were just kind of getting lost in the clean laundry pile or something. So it may not be practical for your family, but if you're just a couple or a small family and you're not overwhelmed with clean laundry, you're putting away laundry as you go, the cloth napkins could be the way to go. And they feel elegant too. By now your dishes are probably done and hopefully you're wiping down countertops. Remember, you can just use dish soap and a dish rag, dish soap, hot water, and a dish rag. That's the way my husband wipes down the countertops. I never really see him using my little fancy sprays. That's just something I like to use. And I usually, truth be told, I usually clean the countertops with dish soap first, and then I just use those sprays as a finishing touch. And part of it is kind of an aromatherapy experience for me. I like the way that those sprays smell. Like the Method or the Myers or whatever. This is not sponsored, but, nice smelling products. And you might even like this smell of strong cleaning products like some kind of Lysol or Clorox spray. My point is, though, that we don't have to use those fancy sprays to get our kitchen clean. We can wipe down the countertops, stovetop, cabinets with a damp cloth with dish soap on it. And then we can use a generic glass cleaner to wipe down the fronts of our stainless steel appliances and the windows on those appliances, meaning like the microwave window, the oven window, all in one fell swoop. And it doesn't take long to wipe those surfaces. So as soon as you're done, I encourage you to sweep your kitchen floor. And speaking of mopping, your mop fluid could be a mixture of white vinegar and water. It could be a mixture of liquid dish soap and glass cleaner. Just get creative with whatever you have on hand. I don't always buy the pre-moistened Swiffer pads or a special mop liquid, but I do just fill my sink up with some type of cleaning product and hot water when I don't have anything else to mop with. So you can mop with whatever. Or maybe you have some other minimums that you need to run and do, like make your bed. Making your bed instantly makes your bedroom look better and can encourage you to kind of pick up clutter throughout the day. Or maybe there's a clean laundry pile you want to work on. I know after I record this episode, I'm planning to run my kids to school and then come back and tackle that clean laundry basket that I have in my room. And it's a little more than a basket. I did away with this like bin that I had in there, but somehow my husband started putting clean clothes into a large plastic tub that's bigger than a laundry basket. So it feels a little overwhelming and I want to get that stuff put away. So your minimum might be getting caught up on those clean clothes. And if it takes you a long time to find something to wear and get out the door, that's your sign to put away that residual pile of clean laundry. I feel like it's not always one of my daily minimums, but it should be. I definitely want to do that today. I spent a lot of time in my kitchen yesterday, so today is more of a laundry focus. And sometimes there's just something that's your spouse's pet peeve. You know, if he wants the TV remote to be, on the side table in the living room when he gets off work, or on the bed, or he's hoping there's a clean towel hanging up in the bathroom. These little things that take minutes to do can help you avoid a lot of arguments. And don't get me wrong, there are things he should be doing for you too. Yes, we should overlook certain things, but we all have things that are fairly important to us. I watched a video online where a husband just wanted his wife to wipe the kids' faces like before he got home from work. I guess he didn't like the whole boogery situation where their noses are running and there's food and whatever. Like he wanted her to have started dinner and wipe the kids' faces off or something. And really, that's not a lot. She might have felt like overwhelmed with housework or whatever, but she probably could have let some of the housework slide to do like those two things. They were in marriage counseling or whatever. So, of course, there were a couple things that she wanted him to do. I just don't remember what they were. It didn't really stand out to me. It wasn't really relatable, but there were certain things she wanted him to do. And then, so it was like he had to start doing, two things, and she had to start doing two things, and it made a huge difference. And when I'm at work and my husband's at home, I'm wanting him to at least have a plan for dinner or to have started dinner. I don't really ask for anything else, but I do like it when the bed's made, the bedroom's picked up, the living room's picked up. I mean, of course I like coming home to a clean house, but it's not one of those non-negotiable things that I have to have. Like, I'm more worried about the food. That could be your spouse. I don't know. So maybe you're cleaning a room, making a bed, sweeping, vacuuming. Some husbands had a mom who got up early in the morning and vacuumed every day. I had a grandma who did that. My mother-in-law did that. Some husbands expect that. Just be working on whatever else needs to be done, whether it's something that you like to have done or that you're doing for your spouse, because obviously you want to do what makes you feel at peace as well. But relationships are about compromise, so sometimes you have to do something that you don't think is important to make the other person happy, and then hopefully they'll do the same. And you can negotiate about that. Like, hey, I'll start doing XYZ if you'll just do this. The person who wanted to know about cleaning products during hard times also talked about saving money on food. I'm really big on the stockpiling method, where you leave a little room in your grocery budget, whether it's $10, $15, or $20, to stock up on something that you normally buy but it's on sale. Because as you do that, you develop a stockpile, and over time, you'll stop paying full price for the products you buy on a regular basis. The key is that you're not just stocking up on every single thing in the store that's on sale, because then you're going to go over your budget. The key is just allowing some of your budget to go towards stockpiling. And also, like Dave Ramsey says, eat beans and rice. And maybe you need to learn to cook beans and rice. But, some people picture a certain meal when they hear beans and rice. It could be Spanish rice, pinto beans, and tortillas. And if you made that, you could freeze burritos. You could make burritos and freeze them for easy lunches for the kids. This person who requested this episode is homeschooling. I went through a phase where when I would make burritos for dinner, I would make a bunch of extra ones and then freeze them individually for easy lunches. And I was homeschooling back then too. Being on beans and rice could be making baked beans with hot dogs in it. I try to limit processed meats, but sometimes, hot dogs can be part of an occasional struggle meal, and it's super good, in the beans. Another struggle meal with hot dogs that I like, that's just a serious comfort food. You get a pack of hot dogs, you cut them in half, and then you get a package of biscuits, and you wrap the biscuits around the hot dogs and cook them in the oven like that. And then you dip them in a mixture of ketchup and mustard. Super yummy, but it's a rare treat for me that I don't do that often. But yeah, I love it. I mean, I'm usually making homemade biscuits and stuff, but sometimes you can get those cheap biscuits on sale and hot dogs, and that would be a really cheap struggle meal. I also went through a phase where I was watching a YouTube channel of a lady that did like Depression era cooking, and there was a meal she made that was just potatoes and hot dogs, and that was super delicious when I made it. But don't eat hot dogs too often. It's not healthy. Another thing that you might not know about is that in a lot of areas, you can basically stand in a line for free, fresh produce, and regardless of income. And they a lot of times they have trouble getting rid of this stuff. So like, you don't have to feel guilty like you're taking it away from the less fortunate. Like, not everybody's willing to stand in that line for that produce, and it can definitely save you a lot of money. Sometimes there's potatoes, cabbage, fruit. Speaking of potatoes, another friend of mine uses potatoes in almost everything she cooks to make it go further. And I especially like it when my husband makes beef burritos and he chops up potatoes into little tiny pieces and mixes those in with the ground beef. I don't think he's doing it to save money. I think he just does it to make it taste good, and it does. So you can add potatoes to your ground beef for your tacos or burritos. You can also even, add it to soups, homemade soups. I also recommend making spaghetti or American goulash at least once a week. Most people like pasta, and you can use just a small amount of ground beef to save money there. And some of you are probably saying, well, the way to save money is to have some meatless nights. Yeah, but my husband wouldn't go for that. So I use small amounts of meat in soups when I'm trying to save money, in soups and spaghettis and stuff when I'm trying to save money. Speaking of chicken soup, you can cook a roasted chicken one night, maybe with mashed potatoes as a side dish or rice, whatever you like. And then you boil that chicken carcass the next day and make it into soup rather than having to use like 3 chicken breasts or chicken thighs to make the soup. Or like I talk about when I cook that bone-in turkey breast in the crock pot. Last time I made that, like a day or two later, my husband made turkey tacos with the leftover turkey. And if you don't want to eat the same thing 2 nights in a row, you can freeze your leftovers and then bring them out like a week later. That way it doesn't feel like you're eating the same thing. So definitely use your leftovers. And the person who requested this episode was also talking about lunch ideas for homeschooled kids. A big thing that I did when I was homeschooling is I would make large portions for dinner and then we would reheat the leftovers for lunch the next day. Another way to save money is having breakfast for dinner sometimes. And I know eggs are expensive right now. We have chickens, so no, our eggs aren't free. But at this point, it's cheaper to buy chicken feed than it is to buy eggs in the grocery store. But when I say breakfast for dinner, your main dish could be pancakes or biscuits and gravy, and just, maybe 1 egg per person or something. That would be an affordable meal as well. Homemade chili is another meal that I like to make that's pretty affordable, and I serve it with saltines. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, before you vacuum, you could sprinkle some baking soda on the carpet. Baking soda is technically a food. If you have those type of benefits, you could get that using your EBT card. But even if you're just paying cash for groceries, baking soda is cheaper than the special carpet sprinkles or whatever and can serve the same purpose. I hope you got a lot done during this episode. Again, if you're trying to save money, get you some Comet or Ajax, some generic glass cleaner or Windex and a spray bottle, or white vinegar in a spray bottle. Cut some rags out of old towels. Use a scrub brush to pre-rinse your dishes if you can't afford the sponges. Use dish soap to clean virtually everything in your house. You could even get the antibacterial dish soap. If you need to clean your bathrooms, we have episodes for that. Special thanks to our financial supporters who unlock those bonus episodes. Definitely subscribe to those if you can. But since this episode is about saving money, I went ahead and made it a free episode. But even just listening to this show helps me, so be sure to click follow or the plus sign on whichever app you're listening on. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. But I'll put a link in the episode notes for my website, cleanwithmepodcast.com, so you can learn more about unlocking bonus episodes if you so desire. Oh, and one last tip for cleaning the bathroom. If you've ever heard of Fly Lady, she says to use your unwanted shampoos to clean the toilet bowl. Also, I've been known to wash my clothes with dishwasher detergent. Sometimes you've got to just substitute things you have. Never use a lack of funds as an excuse not to clean. You've got something around your house you can clean with, I promise. And again, the cheapest cleaning product is something you already have. Happy cleaning, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.